I made it to Vancouver. Here I am in Stanley Park. And Vancouver's got a pretty happening political underground. They've got the 2010 Olympics coming up, and there's a lot of opposition to it. There's a solidarity protest in town today that meets up with an anti-war march. I'm in the middle of Vancouver at a protest against the SPP, and I've met this guy, Shane, who was at 2004 RTS in Sydney. He put his skateboard in my sound system trailer, and just before the police took it away, and then he chased them all the way down the road and got it, man. And so what's happening here?
Today we're gathering here at Canada Place to protest against the SPP, which is basically the North American Free Trade Agreement, Mexico, Canada, and the US, supersized, integrating security with free trade. Interesting combination, essentially dumps even more Canadian sovereignty overboard in the name of appeasing our masters south of the 49th parallel.
I know the feeling. We got the same thing in Australia, losing its independence.
From him, kick me. Schemes, projects, which under the guise of developing the third world, under it.
It is a continental day of action across North America, across Turtle Island, to resist the Security and Prosperity Partnership Agreement. I actually want to start not by talking about the SPP, but I want to tell you folks about what's going down in Montebello right now, because the nature of what is happening in Montebello as we speak in terms of the repression that is going on says a lot about what the SPP itself entails. So I just got off the phone with some comrades and allies who are in Montebello, Quebec. There are 7 people who have currently been arrested already in Montebello. There's approximately 4,000 police who have surrounded the Chateau Fairmont, where the ministers are meeting. Security and Prosperity Partnership Agreement is not actually a treaty, it's not actually a law, it's a vague dialogue based on so-called shared values that came into effect in 2005 between the US, Mexico, and Canada. We have to be very clear, the fact that it's not a law, the fact that it's not a treaty, means that it's been able to escape all public scrutiny. It's the very reason that the governments are saying that all that this summit is their continuation of business as usual, because they've been able to get away with business as usual for so many years while the SPP has gone on in complete secrecy. Ridiculous and imperialist policies that the governments have waged against people for centuries. So we are here to reject it, and we remember in 1994 when NAFTA was passed, the Zapatistas declared war against NAFTA, and thousands of people across the continent today are declaring war against the SPP.
Development is always a good thing. Now the SPP is about liberalizing trade, and that means making it easier for money, investment, commodities to move back and forth all across the borders. But people, little people like you, and you, and you, and immigrants, and non-white people, that's not such an easy moving across the borders thing. In fact, we want to build the borders a little bit higher to prevent that kind of easy, flexible movement of people.
1, 2, 3, 4, SPP fuck off. 5, 6, 7, 8, SPP still fuck off. 1, 2, 3, 4, SPP fuck off. 5, 6, 7, 8, SPP still fuck off. Thanks very much.
It is important for us to have a bit of balance, so we're going to bring out Mr. Bush himself, give him a chance to address his subjects. Are you ready to hear from the Emperor? Are you ready to hear his side of the story? Come on! Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, Mr. George W. Bush.
We meet here to threaten the world. Our first goal is to show utter contempt for the environment, to devastate communities, kill wildlife, and burn away millions of acres of treasured forests.
Bush go home! 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 Bush go home!
Water. I say native, you say land. Native.
Land.
Native.
Land.
I say get up, you say stand up. Get up.
Stand up.
Get up.
Stand up.
I say stand up, you say right. Stand up.
Right.
Stand up.
Right.
I say Cuba, you say Libra. Cuba.
Libra.
Cuba.
Libra.
I say Harper, you say Puppy. Harper.
Puppy.
No security without justice.
We need to talk with our families, with our communities. We need to do what the the Zapatistas did before they rose up and took arms. They were talking to communities. It was invisible work. We all need to do this.
In my community.
Free trade, well-being, security, and prosperity for all of humanity. Thanks to NAFTA, we have gotten Mexico to drop its tariffs on imported corn so that we can buy its market with subsidized corn from the U.S.
We're going to move operations to China. They're cheaper there.
Now what I'm going to do? Migrate to El Norte!
Scrap the SPP!
Scrap the SPP!
Scrap the people! United, we'll never be defeated!
With how many items in these negotiations are about the militarization of North America? One of those forms is through the quote-unquote harmonization of our borders. That means both the Canada-US border and the Mexico-US border will have 100% shared information and shared systems, as well as a water-based naval force of all three countries and an air force. Agenda of free trade. So that means more privatization of public services. That means the export in bulk of Canadian water. That means the privatization of education and healthcare. And above all, the gifting of more profits to already incredibly rich corporations at the cost of democratic participation. And it's intentionally kept quiet behind closed doors. Things like the U.S. Army and the RCMP mandating the City Council of tiny Montebello in Quebec to not open community space for community meetings during this week of their meetings. And we're here not to create disturbance in the hearts and minds of those inside their days, but to say the big media don't want to publish it, so we better say something. So much respect to the media.
No to SPP! Down with imperialist mobilization, war, and plunder! Long live international solidarity! I say get up, you say stand up, get up! Get up! I say stand up, you say right, stand up! Stand up!
On June 26th, not only did the BC Supreme Court deny my dad's extradition appeal, Cash Minerals released a report about the amount of uranium that they found in the Yukon, where my dad was born and raised. I really feel like that is a huge, playing a huge role in my dad's current position.
No justice.
They should be put in their own jails that they built. The Security and Prosperity Partnership Agreement.
Preparing the world for war.
And you better believe it. With extra embossing.
Lies and deception.
Fearless, but not alarmed.